Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I will call this session of the court to order, and we will first have a presentation of the flags by our own Santa Clara County Sheriff's Honor Guard. I would now ask Judge Iravani Sani's sons, Arman and Darian Sani, to come up to the stage, and they will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Would everyone please stand for that?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So good evening, family members, friends, and colleagues of Judge Iravani Sani. It is wonderful to see so many people here to honor and welcome our friend and colleague, Judge Iravani Sani, to the Santa Clara County Superior Court bench. As many of you know, Judge Iravani Sani was sworn in on December 29th in a more informal setting and has been training and has actually been calling her own calendars for the last several days in the Hall of Justice. Tonight, however, is her formal investiture and a time to celebrate the governor's wisdom in appointing Judge Iravani Sani to our bench. We look forward to the remarks of the speakers tonight, which will allow us to learn a bit more about our newest addition to the court. At this time, I would like to introduce to you the members of our court who were able to be here tonight to welcome Judge Iravani Sani. And we do this in seniority order. First, we have Judge Socrates P. Manukian, Judge Risa Jones Pichon, Judge David A. Sina, Judge Tang N. Barrett, Judge Paul R. Bernal, Judge Sharon Chapman, well, sorry, it's in orange. I know she wanted to be here, and she may be coming. It may be the weather that's delaying her. But instead, we have Judge Brian C. Walsh, Judge Erica R. Yu, Judge Vincent J. Chiarello, Judge Mark H. Pierce, Judge Hector E. Ramon, Judge William J. Monahan, Lei Jacqueline Zun, Judge Lei Jacqueline Zun, excuse me, Judge L. Michael Clark, Judge Jesus Valencia, Judge Theodore C. Zahner, Judge Joanne McCracken, and go into our second row, Judge Andrea E. Flint, Judge James L. Stolker, Judge Drew C. Takaichi, Judge Julia Alojamento, Judge Shalina V. Brown, Judge Allison M. Danner, who is not here right now, but she's on her way. She sent word she's in an Uber trying to get here, so hopefully she'll come and be able to be seated in the back. But her thoughts are with you. Judge Mary J. Greenwood, Judge Helen E. Williams, Judge James E. Towery, Judge Lori E. Pegg, Judge Sunil R. Kulkarni, Judge Christopher G. Rudy, Judge Eric S. Geffen, Judge Matthew S. Harris, Judge Roberta S. Hayashi, Judge Jose S. Franco, and then we have some of our retired judges with us also. Retired Judge Lawrence Terry, Judge Thomas Hastings, Judge Richard J. Loftus, Jr., Judge Gil T. Brown. And I also saw, before these lights have obscured my view now, a couple of judges sitting in the audience who could be up here also, our alumni judges. Judge Edward Davila, Judge Davila, and Judge Paul Cole sitting up in the back. It is now my pleasure to welcome District Attorney Jeff Rosen and Karen Sinanu-Towery, our former Assistant District Attorney. She's retired, who in retirement is volunteering her time and doing wonderful and needed work at the Northern California Innocence Project. And they're here to tell us a little bit about Judge Iravani Sani and her time in the District Attorney's Office.
Good evening, members of the bench. Good evening to all of you. Let me take you back to 1995 when this will probably be the last time I refer to you as Nahal, but if you're honored, if you allow me to just call you Nahal one more time. In 1995 when Nahal and I joined the District Attorney's Office, and there were, on the misdemeanor team at that time, there were 9 or 10 of us. All of us were men, except for Nahal. And of course, Nahal, when you look at Nahal, the first thing you think of might not be toughness. But we learned very quickly that she was in fact very tough, very smart, and very hardworking. And in the 20-plus years that I've known Nahal and worked with her in the District Attorney's Office, not a lot has changed. Her enthusiasm, she was enthusiastic the last few weeks working in the office as she was the first few weeks in the office. She always worked very hard. She handled difficult cases. She happily went to whatever assignment and whatever place the office needed her. And of course, literally, she looks exactly the same as when we started in 1995. It's quite remarkable. So I'm just incredibly happy that you've become a judge. I think that you're fair and you're smart and you have good values and you listen to people and you're going to always do what the right thing is. And we miss you in the District Attorney's Office, but we're so happy and proud that you've been appointed. Congratulations, Nahal.
And to the court and the community, I find it rather emotional to be here tonight. I remember 1995. I feel like I'm the grandmother of the criminal justice system here in Santa Clara County. But I remember 1995 because it's when Judge Iravani Sani and District Attorney Rosen came in, and I had the honor of interviewing them both and seeing them begin their careers. So tonight is a really special privilege for me. Jeff, how long have you been the elected DA now?
For 8 years.
8 years. And during that time, how many of your deputies have been appointed by the governor to serve on our bench?
None before tonight.
Wow. So there's almost a mystery to it. Like, why is it so hard for a district attorney to get appointed with this governor? I mean, one deputy in 8 years. I hope it's not a reflection of you or anything, but, well, I was thinking about this before Judge Iravani Sani was appointed, and I have a confession.
I'm always ready to take confessions.
Well, I was kind of hoping for some immunity first, but okay, well, I wondered how this worked, and I'd been reading a little bit about other people doing this in the news, and I took an old DA trick I had with me. I wiretapped the governor's office.
Are you sure it was the governor's office, or might it have been my office?
Well, no, it might. The thing that happened was when I wiretapped the governor's office, it picked up a conversation the governor's office was having with you, unfortunately.
You know, I knew we should have taken your key card away when you left the office. Okay, so
So I'm very interested in transparency now and justice for all. And I want to play this for the community. So it is an illegally wiretapped conversation, but what the heck? We're Santa Clara County, you know.
sure.
I'm going to ask the sound guy to play it now, okay?
Okay, let's introduce it.
Good afternoon, District Attorney's Office. How may I help you?
Hello, this is the Governor's Appointment Secretary calling. I would like to speak with District Attorney Jeff Rosen.
Sure, one moment, please.
Jeff Rosen speaking. Are you calling about my wife?
No, actually, this is the Appointment Secretary, but I'm calling about Deputy District Attorney Nahal Iravani Sani.
Oh, yes, of course, of course.
Now, I'm aware that you have a strong bench down there in Santa Clara County, and you know the governor is sometimes a little hesitant to appoint prosecutors to the bench. You know, your bench is packed with former prosecutors, and your community loves prosecutors, and they get elected so easily. So this Iravani Sani candidate needs to be strong, I mean really strong, to win an appointment. Has she done any criminal defense work?
No.
Oh, has she done anything for the legal community?
Well, she taught trial advocacy at Stanford Law School and lectured at Santa Clara University Law School. She's also coached high school students in mock trial competitions.
Oh, but she's never been a criminal defense attorney?
No.
Has she done anything for the local bar association down there?
Yeah, she serves on the Bench Bar Media Police Committee, many other bar committees, including the Diversity Committee, the Minority Bar Coalition. She's extremely active in the local bar.
Oh, but does she belong to the Criminal Trial Lawyers Association of Northern California?
No, that group's for defense attorneys. But she has been active in the California District Attorneys Association.
Hey, Mr. Rosen, you aren't making this easy for me. Tell me, how did she do as a prosecutor?
Well, while raising two outstanding boys and participating fully in her community work, she tried over 40 cases to verdict before juries, and her caseload included burglaries, robberies, and sexual assaults.
Oh, so she is a hard-edged, win-at-all-cost prosecutor?
Actually, those words don't apply to anyone in my office. Ms. Iravani Sani is at all times balanced and open-minded. She always strives to see that justice is done, even if it means dismissing a case or reducing a charge.
Right. Well, certainly the defense bar must have some critical comments about Ms. Iravani Sani.
Actually, no, they don't. The defense bar seems to appreciate her candor, honesty, and professionalism. I've only received positive feedback about her.
This seems to be a pretty glowing recommendation you have. But nothing on the other side of the fence?
Well, you should know that Ms. Iravani Sani handled not just cases involving violence, but she also prosecuted environmental crimes and consumer fraud, and she serves on the District Attorney's Diversity Committee.
Well, even though she isn't a criminal defense attorney, is she a problem solver?
Absolutely. Recently, she successfully brought together law enforcement, the defense bar, and the judiciary to address the needs of the cognitively impaired population in our county who were failing to follow the registration laws.
Well, now you're talking.
Oh, and did I add that she's an office specialist on hate crimes?
Really, do you have anything just a little bit negative to say about her?
Let me think. Well, there is one thing. She was never a criminal defense attorney.
Thank you. I will pass your glowing recommendation on to the governor, and I thank you for your time.
Oh, sure. Call again anytime about any other candidate whose name is before the governor.
Sure. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Disclosure, the governor's office was not wiretapped, and the assertion to the contrary is pure fiction. However, the sentiments of the district attorney are accurate.
Congratulations, Judge.
Congratulations, Judge.
Judge Iravani Sani has asked Judge Brian Walsh to introduce her and to administer her oath of office. She describes Judge Walsh as having been instrumental in encouraging her to apply to be a judge and assisting her through the process. As a testament to her belief that what must be will be, Judge Walsh has returned from a vacation in Mexico, arriving at the San Jose airport today at 4 p.m., successfully navigating customs, and made it here today on time. Thank goodness for that, because I was trying to determine how I would have entertained an order for a bench warrant for Judge Walsh for his failure to appear. But we are very glad that you are here, Judge Walsh, and look forward to hearing from you. And thank you, Mr. Rosen and Ms. Sinanutauri, for your remarks. They were wonderful. Judge Walsh?
Well, muy buenas noches. Indeed, it's great to be here to celebrate with you the investiture of Nahal Iravani Sani as she renews her commitment to public service, but this time as a Superior Court judge. I first met Nahal about 12 years ago when she tried some really tough felony trials in my courtroom, and I've had the pleasure of working with her since on a few times I've been back at the Hall of Justice. And as described both seriously and humorously by Jeff and Catherine Sununu, she is tough, but she's very balanced, she's very well prepared, and she's utterly professional in that she treats her opponent with complete respect and complete graciousness. Indeed, when she talks, she speaks as though she always has a smile in her voice, which is not typical of everyone in your office, Jeff. Nahal has an excellent background to be a judge. You've heard some of it already. She's a graduate of UC Irvine, and though she worked for a time in Washington, D.C. in the office of CNN, helping with their on-air broadcast, she gave up the media to pursue a career in law. So she entered law school here at the University of Santa Clara, where she won 2 scholarships and then graduated and became a member of the bar in 1993. Contrary to some of the investigation that was done, she does have some history in the public defender's office in Orange County as an intern, but I think that's enough for this governor, don't you? Come on. And she also had a brief time in private practice, a civil practice in Orange County. And then she joined the very fine district attorney's office here. And as you heard, Nahal has shared her great trial experience with others by teaching here at Santa Clara for 7 years, and then she also coached very successfully to some winning awards the Willow Glen High School mock trial team. Nahal's work in the legal community and in the community at large have won her several awards. She was the recipient of the 2011 Unity Award from the San Francisco Bar Coalition, the 2012 Distinguished Service Award from the Iranian American Bar Association, and the 2016 Santa Clara County Bar Association Diversity Award. One of her greatest honors was accepting the special invitation from First Lady Michelle Obama to attend the 2016 Nowruz reception at the White House. All of you know, Nowruz is New Year's, right? So she spent New Year's with the First Lady, and in fact, it looked like a fun party. She showed me the selfie, and everyone having a great time. But interesting, at that White House event, Michelle Obama said, quote, "It is important to remember that our diversity has been and will always be our greatest source of strength and pride here in the United States." And that's certainly true in this county, and it's reflected on our bench. Take a look. This is what justice looks like in the Santa Clara County. It seems appropriate that before we administer the oath to Nahal, we take a moment to contemplate what we are committed to do as judges. And Professor Rebecca Brown, who spoke at Allison Danner's investiture 5 years ago, talked about the importance of the rule of law. And I reread her remarks recently, and I thought some of them seem so apt now as actions are taken in some parts of our country that appear to be arbitrary and divisive. As Professor Brown explained, it is fitting to take this moment to contemplate the critical place that a judge holds in the society. State courts in our system serve as the principal institution charged with guaranteeing to all that the rule of law, which underlies our entire constitutional and social order, will be preserved. That term, she said, rule of law, is the basic idea that there be a stable set of governing rules and a system in place to make sure the rules are applied consistently and even-handedly. The most important aspect of the rule of law, Professor Brown said, is that it gives all people a profound, unspoken confidence. Confidence that if we have a dispute with another person, there will be a peaceful way to resolve it that does not depend on who each of the parties is, how much money they have, how powerful they are. Confidence that if we are singled out by the government for a criminal charge, someone who is not the accuser will decide our fate, and we will be treated in a predictable way. Confidence that our contracts and our property will not be reassigned randomly. In other words, the rule of law protects us from arbitrariness. That is, the horrible prospect that people with power, or she might add today, the passions and prejudice of the crowds, act without having to explain, justify, or reconcile their actions with any permanent standard. This kind of confidence, she said, contributes significantly to our liberty and to our equality in the sense that whatever the law is, we can enjoy the luxurious confidence that it will apply to all in the same way. That same concept was summed up by my favorite lawyer, the famous but fictional Atticus Finch. In To Kill a Mockingbird, he said basically the same thing. He asserted that, quote, "There is one way in this country in which all people are created equal. There is one human institution that makes a pauper the equal of a Rockefeller, the stupid the equal of an Einstein, and the ignorant the equal of any college president. That institution is a court. In this country, our courts are the great levelers, and in our courts, all people are created equal. That's a commitment that all of our judges have made, a commitment that Nahal is now making. And it's a commitment that Nahal's rich life experience assures us she can keep. As you know, as you heard, of course, Nahal was appointed to this judgeship by Governor Jerry Brown by a thorough vetting process, which apparently included calling the district attorney. And among the important qualities this governor, like all governors, looks for is a strong breadth of experience, breadth of legal experience, and breadth of life experience. Well, you've already heard that Nahal has a breadth of legal experience. She has civil and criminal, DA's office, public defender's office, however briefly, public agencies, and private practice. You also should know that Nahal has a great breadth of life experience. But rather than relate that to you secondhand, let's take a few minutes to hear it from the source.
I'm Nahal Iravani Sani. Place of birth is Tehran, Iran, and I currently live in San Jose, California. The first time I came here, I was just 5 years old, didn't know a word of English, and went to kindergarten in Palo Alto, severely missed my grandparents. My father had received a fellowship from the World Health Organization to pursue his graduate studies in environmental engineering at Stanford University. And then we went back to Iran. Then the revolution happened in 1979, and then we moved back over here basically to pursue higher education. We always thought we would go back. And I think my canned answer to everybody back then was that we're here for a year or two, and then that turned to 5 years. And I think after probably the 6th or 7th year, we realized, no, we're here to stay. I definitely remember feeling like the outsider. I was the kid with the funky accent. And even though I knew the language and I could speak it fluently, I think having the bit of the accent was a bit of a hurdle. I felt displaced, even as a young child. I was recently looking back, sharing with my sons some of my diary entries from way back then. There's a picture, it's a picture of me sitting on my bed with tears saying, I miss Kiyasat friends, which is my elementary school in Iran.
Here in Iran, at the beginning of another week, students holding 50 hostages at the American embassy still give no sign of allowing an independent appraisal.
One of my earlier memories from moving over here was just the nightly news with Peter Jennings, doing the countdown of the hostage crisis going on. I personally wasn't that affected, but I would hear stories from my sister, who was 15, and she would come home with a lot of sadness because people would be telling her, go back to Iran, go back to your country, or there'd be people actually wearing T-shirts, flipping off the Ayatollah. But I think witnessing my parents' struggle was the biggest challenge because they definitely gave up on their life and their status back in Iran. My father, as I said, was US educated with a graduate degree from one of the most respected universities worldwide. I remember every job that he applied for, they would say he's overqualified. He finally found employment again, but I remember those early years was difficult. So my mother is the one that ended up having to then start working. Her passion had always been good skincare, and then ultimately she opened a skincare salon. I never thought growing up that I would be a lawyer. There were no lawyers in our family, so it was definitely new territory that I was getting into. It wasn't anything that I thought I was interested in. And when I think back to how I ended up here, I think it goes back to my mother encouraging me to take a speech class. I ended up competing in local and then state and then national championships as part of our speech and debate team. Did very well. Our entire team and me personally won awards nationally. I was showing some aptitude in law, and I decided to apply to law school, went to Santa Clara University. I'm the first Iranian-American deputy DA in the history of Santa Clara County. I remember those early days where I'd be waiting in court for my case to be called, and a defense attorney approached me and said, are you the Spanish-speaking interpreter? And do you know when the DA will get here? And I just had to laugh and say, no, I don't speak a word of Spanish, and I am the DA on the case. That's part of what makes it, I think, fun to change these stereotypes and be the face of the next generation of DAs in Santa Clara County. Now I always identify as Iranian American. I think there was a time when I was in high school, perhaps, or even college, where I would always say, I'm Persian from Iran, because I thought the proper way of identifying your nationality was to say Persian, but I wanted to make sure, even at a young age, that nobody's thinking I'm saying Persian to disguise where I'm really from. I think sometime around maybe early 2000s or mid 2000s, it was around the same time that a lot of Iranian American organizations were sprouting. The community started slowly using the word Iranian American. Around 30 years after the history of our immigration, it was a good time for people to want to come together and start giving our community a voice. Everybody all over.
America has welcomed us here, and through our hard work and determination, we have shown and continue to demonstrate that we are giving back to the United States. Some of us were born here, some of us immigrated here, but whether we were born here or immigrated here, each one of us is an ambassador to our heritage. Each one of us is the face of our community.
This truly is a land of opportunity. If there is a committee which isn't properly represented by having an Iranian American there, step up, volunteer to serve on that committee. If you see a library display of the Chinese New Year, but then a few weeks later you see that it's missing Nowruz on a display on Nowruz, talk to the head librarian. I mention these examples because through me doing the same thing, I've seen that people are actually receptive to it. And you have the opportunity to have a voice and have a presence as long as you step up to it.
Well, that's quite a story. Quite a story. Well, that's great. Karen and Jeff, of course, went with the audio. We tried video. Try to keep up with you. Good job, guys. So, Nahal, I heard you say it in the video, that one may have a voice and have a presence as long as you step up to it. Well, your voice is about to get louder and your presence more profound. So, please step up to be sworn in as a Superior Court judge. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Nahal Iravani Sani,
I, Nahal Iravani Sani,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Ladies and gentlemen, Judge Nahal Iravani Sani.
You may be seated.
Judge Iravani Sani will now be assisted in donning her robe by her parents, Nasreen and Amir Iravani Sani.
We've all got to get it.
So, Judge Iravani Sani, if you'd like to say a few words, the podium is yours.
Thank you. Wow, it's amazing looking out and seeing all of you here. And I have to say, I left my notes down there, so this will all be from hopefully memory. Judge Walsh, Judge Ryan, esteemed members of the bench, my lovely family, beloved friends, my former colleagues, and respected opposing counsel, everyone out here in the audience. When I look out here, it is so lovely to see all of the different circles of my life overlapping here for this special occasion. It's almost as if all of my relationships were just a prelude to this moment. So I really appreciate you being here, sharing this milestone in my life. Other than our wedding day and the births of our two sons, today is certainly one of the most extraordinary days in my life, and I'm delighted to be sharing it with all of you. When I was walking on campus this afternoon, parking and then passing by Bannon Hall, the law school, then walking to this Mayer Theater to attend my own judicial investiture, I have to say it was a bit surreal. I don't think any one of us back in 1990, when I first stepped foot on this campus, I don't think any one of us in the class of 1993 would have ever imagined that we would meet here on this same campus one day, some 25 years later, for this occasion. You see, I didn't set out to be a judge. It wasn't a childhood dream. It wasn't even a goal when I was in college or in law school or even an aspiration for the duration of my legal career. So when I think of what got me to this point, I'm reminded of Steve Jobs, who used to say, you have to connect the dots backwards. And he used to quote philosopher Søren Kierkegaard, who said, life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. So when I think of the point that got me here, it was that summer speech class that you heard a little bit about in that documentary. By the way, that documentary was made years ago without any plans of it ever being played at a judicial investiture. That was the brainchild of Professor Persis Karim as part of California Stories by the California Humanities to give voice to Iranian Americans. That's another story. I just wanted to say that was not the intent of that documentary when it was made. In any event, when I think to what got me here, it was this class that I took at the suggestion of my mom. It was a speech class during the summer. She thought that it would be good for me no matter what profession I decided to pursue.
And I thought that made sense, so I enrolled in that speech class in college, taught by Professor Craig Grossman. And I vividly remember being so nervous getting up in front of the class and giving my first speech ever. And then when I got the review back from the professor, it had all of these columns and different categories from content to delivery to whatnot. And then there were the words at the bottom that said, "I want you on my speech and debate team." And I'm like, whoa, couldn't you see how nervous I was? My heart pounding? And speech and debate, that's what lawyers do. I hadn't set out to go to law school or prepare for law school, but somehow he saw some potential in me. I'm delighted to tell you that Professor Craig Grossman is here this evening from Irvine, California. Craig, please stand up. This evening from Irvine, California. He's right over there. Craig, thank you for whatever potential you saw in me. You absolutely launched my career and equipped me with the tools that I needed for the rest of my career up until this point. Can you tell I'm nervous? But seriously, then I really enjoyed the program. As you heard in the documentary, it was an incredible experience. And then I had two career choices. It was either to go to law school or broadcast journalism. Those were my two top choices at the time. And I was conflicted. I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I parallel played both of them for a while. And as Judge Walsh mentioned, for a period of time, I studied for the LSAT every single morning, the law school admission test, and every afternoon and evening, I worked at CNN, at the Washington, D.C. Bureau. So I ultimately ended up choosing law, obviously, but sometimes I think I could have given Anderson Cooper a good run for his money. Or lately I've been saying, watch out, Sarah Huckabee, here comes Nahal Iravani Sani, maybe. But all joking aside, when I decided on law school, I was looking at different law school choices, and my father encouraged me to apply to Santa Clara University. So another takeaway, listen to your parents. I listened to my mom, took a speech class, listened to my dad for Santa Clara, and it all worked out. But one of the reasons that I really was attracted to Santa Clara University was their focus on social justice programs. I mean, here they were in Silicon Valley, in the heart of Silicon Valley, with all of these leading programs in intellectual property law and high-tech law. But what resonated the most with me was their emphasis on social justice and being a lawyer for the betterment of others. I had incredible teachers here, leading experts recognized nationally. But the two that had most impact on me were Professors Ellen Kreitzberg and Professors Cookie Ridolfi. The governor may not know this, but they're actually both former defense attorneys. So, Professor Ellen Kreitzberg, let me start with her first. She was my trial techniques professor, and she was a former federal public defender, and she was just an amazing advocate, taught trial techniques, and I used all of those skills that I learned in her trial techniques course, throughout my legal career. I was very touched when several years into my practice, Professor Kreitzberg reached out to me and invited me to co-teach trial techniques with her, serve as a judge in that course. And this was the very same class that I took from her as a student. Now I was co-teaching with her. And it was one of the most fulfilling teaching experiences, one of the most fulfilling experiences in my entire legal career. So thank you, Professor Kreitzberg. I'm not sure if you're here. I know you've RSVP'd, but anyway, I don't see you right at this moment.
Professor Cookie Ridolfi, she's a legendary. Kathleen Ridolfi, she endearingly goes by Cookie, and she was actually, she's a pioneer in the field of criminal defense. She was a co-founder of the Innocence Project and also was its former director. And I worked under her supervision at Santa Clara Law School's law clinic, where we would actually go to court and represent indigents on the defense side. And Professor Ridolfi really showed me and taught me the type of lawyer that I want to be. I did an internship at the Public Defender's Office in Orange County, as Judge Walsh mentioned, and through that, I slowly started thinking, you know, as much as I respect the defense bar, I think I'm better suited on the prosecution side. To the extent that I tend to root for the underdog, I felt that I would prefer to apply my compassion on the victim side, but still be mindful of the rights of the accused and the rights of the defendants and make sure that all constitutional principles are abided by. So then I sought to seek employment at the DA's office, and it was very difficult, very challenging to get in at the Santa Clara County DA's office in particular. But once I was finally able to obtain employment, there was only one problem. I thought Cookie is going to kill me. So I called her and I explained the switch and the reasons for it, and she could not have been more supportive. She said, "We need more DAs like you," which was very heartwarming, and that stayed with me throughout my career. I think I approach all of my cases with the same gleaming eye of that law student, making sure that law enforcement has done their job, making sure that when we're issuing charges, it is absolutely backed by the facts and the law. And so with her blessings, I embarked upon the most, not successful, the most fulfilling career at the Santa Clara County District Attorney's Office. And it has been until just, 6 weeks ago or so, the most fulfilling and such an honor to represent the people of the state of California. I always just felt so filled with honor, and as Jeff Rosen said, had my enthusiasm up until my last day after 22 years and 9 months, getting up in court and saying, "Nahal, Iravani, Sani for the people." My absolute honor. Being a prosecutor comes with a lot of responsibility. With a stroke of a pen, you can file a criminal complaint and change a person's life. With a stroke of a pen, you can decide not to file criminal charges against the accused or to dismiss charges. It is extremely powerful, but it's also profoundly humbling. And I never lost sight of that. And I had incredible mentors along the way, one of which Karen Sinunu-Towery. Karen Sinunu-Towery you already heard from. She is a much respected, brilliant prosecutor who was my supervisor, actually my supervisor's supervisor for the majority of my career. She had extremely high expectations, and as a result, I pushed myself to work harder, and it really elevated, I think, my, hopefully, skill. So thank you, Karen. And Karen always encouraged me to seek different opportunities to elevate my career. And the fact that I'm standing here today is in great part as a result of Karen's support. Thank you very much, Karen. Thank you. And of course, Mr. Jeff Rosen. Jeff and I started in the office together, as he said, in 1995. I don't think any one of us would have imagined back in 1995 that one day he would be the district attorney and giving a speech at my judicial investiture. So it's interesting to think which one of you will be the district attorney or the public defender in 20 years, and which of you will come to join us on the bench in 20 years. I hope that it will be a fulfilling career to everybody that is on the bar. Jeff, as he mentioned, I was the only woman among a lot of men when I started at the DA's office. And they said they cleaned up their act a little bit when I joined. But I have to let you know that we just on the bench received the district attorney's recent hires manual that they had put together. And out of the 14 that were hired, 7 were men and 7 were women. And that and that goes to show Jeff's commitment to inclusion and diversity. So thank you, Jeff. What I really respect about Jeff is his devotion to duty and his progressive positions on many legal issues surrounding the criminal justice system. They've both been formative and inspiring to me. Thank you for that, Jeff. Yes, we can give another round of applause. Thank you. And I must mention also George Kennedy. You saw him, the one that swore me in as a district attorney back in 1995, legendary George Kennedy. He's not here, but he sent a very warm congratulatory note, which was very surprising because George was very limited with words. I'm surprised he didn't just say congratulations. He actually wrote like 6 sentences. So for those of you that know George, that's a big wow. He couldn't be here tonight, but I wanted to give a shout out to him, not only for hiring me, but he was a very tough as nails male prosecutor, yet he, as a man, approved my desire to work part-time during early motherhood. And that meant the world to me, to be able to do that. When I was trying to seek, work-life balance, when others said that you can't be a trial attorney and a mom at the same time, Mr. Kennedy gave me that opportunity and gave me the opportunity to prove that, yes, you can be a trial attorney and a mother at the same time. Thank you. And the results are sitting here. So speaking of early motherhood, a little shout out also to my Las Madres group, the neighborhood moms group in Willow Glen. You brightened my days when we would get together at the park with our strollers, sippy cups in hand and diaper bags in tow and running after our toddlers. And that energized me to then go to work in the afternoon with my suit and carry on. So thank you for the friendship and the kinship and the amazing bond that we've had through the years, and thank you for being here tonight. There you guys are. Thank you. So after I got my footing as a working mom, I then decided that I needed to add community service to my activities. Some people might say DA's office is already public service, community service, but I felt the need that I need to do more, and I felt particularly needed in the Iranian American community. I understood the challenges of an immigrant group, and I thought it's extremely important to be an active participant in American civic affairs and to engage in these discussions affecting our nation. So I served in various capacities in different community organizations, and our collaboration with many of you community leaders was very fulfilling to me. So thank you for those groups that are also here as well. Thank you. And I think that finally leads me to the judiciary. As you may know, to become a judge, you either go the election route or you go the appointment route. Through the years, a lot of people, especially in recent years, a lot of people were encouraging me to put in for the bench. And I always said, I really appreciate the vote of confidence, but I don't have judicial aspirations. I was enjoying being an advocate. It was particularly meaningful to me when I would hear that from members of the defense bar. These are my opponents thinking that I could be fair. I really appreciated that. I took it to heart, but still didn't have any judicial aspirations. Judge Walsh was particularly persistent. As he mentioned, I appeared in front of Judge Walsh a lot on felony jury trials, as well as case discussion and resolution, case discussion and resolution. So we got to know each other, and we would often see each other at local bar association events as well. When he in most earnest started encouraging me must have been 2015. And at that time, I was also serving on the local Judiciary Committee. That's the vetting committee locally, where you vet candidates that have been sent down for vetting from the governor's office, and you're not even supposed to be thinking about running or putting in for a judge position yourself. So when Judge Walsh approached me in 2015, I said, Judge Walsh, I'm not even supposed to be having this conversation because I serve on the local Judiciary Committee. And he understood, and he said, when is your term up? And I said, end of the year. And he took out his little pocketbook that he always has in his coat, and he jotted, and I bet he would have had it with him right now had he not come back from Mexico, right, Judge Walsh? And he jotted something down, and that was the end of it. And then in 2016, January of 2016, on a Friday afternoon, late in the day, I was in my office, and the phone rang. And I'm like, who's calling so late on a Friday afternoon? I pick up the phone. Ms. Iravani Sani, it's Judge Walsh. Where are you with your judicial application? My term was up. He was very persistent. We had a long conversation. I was touched to hear all of the reasons why he thought I was well suited for it. And I gave it a lot of thought afterwards. I did a lot of reflecting, a lot of soul searching. I discussed it with Barmack, my husband, and Barmack said, you got to go for it. Barmack has always been so incredibly supportive throughout our marriage. In all of my aspirations, anything that I was interested in, he's always encouraged me to take it to the next level, never holding me back. And I said, kind of playing devil's advocate with myself, saying, I'm approaching 50. I could retire. We can go traveling. Who was I kidding? Barmack knows more than anyone that I would not be content slowing down and going on ocean cruises. So he is like, this is your calling. You have to do this. You have to do this. And of course, having that support from Barmack meant a lot to me. And again, thank you from the bottom of my heart for how... for the incredible husband you've been for the past 20, how many years are we at now? Since 23 years, and always encouraging me and always having my back. So thank you. But I still needed to be convinced myself that this is what I need to do, despite Judge Walsh and other members of the bench and the local bar and Barmack about I should do this. I still needed to feel it myself in my gut. So I did a lot more reflecting and soul searching, and I thought, I'm a public servant at my core. This is what I've done my entire career. And to be a judge is the ultimate public service in the legal career. I'm not doing it, it's not the robe or the prestige. It's the natural extension of my life's work. And once I reached that epiphany, if you will, I was so ready to go for it and put in for that application. And there I had it. I connected the dots backwards. All I had done throughout my entire career and my entire life was public service, and this was just the natural extension of it. So thank you again, Judge Walsh, for encouraging me. You were truly my champion and changed my life. So thank you very much. And then the long, extensive vetting process. I just got a glimpse of it about what interview takes place. But those of you who were among the lucky recipients of those surveys that the governor's office sends out for every member of the DA's office and the defense bar, those of you who wrote letters on my behalf, I truly appreciated the 75-plus personal references that you had to submit. The Santa Clara County Bar Association Judiciary Committee, those of you that helped with the vetting process, I truly thank you for the time and dedication. The members of the Jenny Commission, the Judicial Nomination Evaluation Commission, thank you to the intense Josh Grobin, the Governor's Senior Appointment Advisor, and of course, thank you to Governor Brown for this terrific opportunity. I must say one of the other reasons that I decided to put in was because I saw a void on the bench. As amazing as the Santa Clara County bench is and as diverse as we are, there was not a single person that was of Iranian descent. And I thought that it's my obligation to try to fill that void. And I am so honored to be the first Iranian American ever, man or woman. Thank you. Thank you. Mercy. To be appointed to the Santa Clara County bench and to add to the diversity of the wonderful bench. And finally, a few words of gratitude to my new colleagues. I was blown away by the number of emails and calls that came in immediately after my appointment. It exceeded anything I ever expected. Your offers of help through this transition and your warm welcomes have really, really touched me. I truly appreciate it, and I am delighted to join you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. My parents, thank you, Mom and Dad, Mama and Baba, for I'm not going to get emotional, but thank you for all of your sacrifices throughout my life. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for encouraging me through the tough times and the obstacles along the way. And thank you for always being the wind beneath my wings. I love you dearly. Thank you. All the way up to roving me. To Nikki, my sister, you were my first role model, and I've always looked up to you. From early childhood days all the way through recently, your determination and perseverance and persistence has been a source of inspiration and continues to be. Thank you for being the best role model. Okay. Arman and Darian, I hope you know in your heart that my most important role is being your mom. I mean that despite this and the robe and all, and what a big accomplishment this is, the two of you are perhaps my biggest accomplishment. I'm very, very proud of you, and despite the teenage butting heads that goes on, I'm very proud of you, and I hope to make you proud of me too. And And my final note of gratitude is to this great country, this magnificent land of opportunity. It's really overwhelming. My parents, some 39 years ago, uprooted their life at the pinnacle of their lives and their career to come here in the hopes of a better future for my sister and me. Thank you, America. Thank you, America, for turning their hopes and dreams into our reality. I accept this judgeship. I join this bench with pride and humility, and I'm honored and grateful to add my name to the illustrious list of judges in Santa Clara County. I will work hard to make sure that I'm worthy of the enormous responsibility entrusted in me. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Iravani Sani. What a wonderful life story, and thank you for letting us learn a bit more about you. And I look forward to learning even more as we join each other as colleagues. So if you will now please join all of your colleagues and take the seat of honor. We will now have our full Superior Court. So we have approached the end of the formal investiture ceremony, and Judge Iravani Sani and her family invite you to join them for a reception, and that's going to be held in both the Adobe Lodge and Nobley Hall, which is right next to the Adobe Lodge. Apparently, the court's order for an evening without rain was not enforceable, and other arrangements had to be made, but ever the great hostess, they have been made, and we will be safe from any rain that's out there. So the business of the court here today having been concluded, the court is now in recess, and we'll see you at the reception. Thank you.